Another question. Sorry, I started this as if I was continuing a conversation I was having with you guys or something. But another question I've received throughout the years that's pretty common that I've received that people ask me is, uh, what is your favorite medium? Is it anime? Is it manga? What are your thoughts on the different mediums? Which is the best medium, etc., etc. So I thought it would be a cool idea to do a little bit of a discussion video on that. I have lots of different relationships with different types of mediums and lots of cool, I guess, anecdotes about each. Um, and I guess I have a bit of a ranking in a way, kind of in a way. And I thought it would just be a cool little discussion for today's video. Is my relationship with specifically 7 mediums. I know there's lots of different mediums, and like there's tons that I'm missing, I guess, but there are 7 in particular that I'm going to talk about today. Although, to be clear about something, I am not including music. I'm basically including storytelling mediums, classically storytelling mediums. I know that stories are told through music, etc., etc. I adore music. I'm sure if you know anything about me, music is one of the most important things in my life. It's one of the most important elements of audiovisual or even just audio. It's one of the most important elements of stories, of video games, anime, manga. Manga, I play music, even though it doesn't have music. A lot of the time I play music with manga, specifically when I stream film, television, etc. I love music, but I'm not including it for this because it's a bit different to me in my mind than the rest of the ones I'm going to talk about. So the 7 mediums I'm going to be talking about are TV shows, video games, anime, films, manga, books, and visual novels. And I guess if I'm ranking them with regards to how much I like them, we'll go from least favorite to favorite. Now, to be clear, I am not saying, because people often ask what is the best medium. I have no answer to that. I don't think there is a best medium. I don't think there is, this is better than this. I think it's what your preference is, what really speaks to you at any given point in your life, what just works with you. So I have my favorite medium, and I'll get to it, and I know several of you guys probably know it, but it doesn't mean that I think it's the best. It just means it's the best for me. Case in point, bottom of this list for me are books, novels. And it's a big shame for me because I think this should be higher. I love reading. I really do. When I was a kid, I really adored reading. Specifically, the Harry Potter series was really huge for me. And loath as I am to mention She Who Must Not Be Named, it was something very formative for me. It made me properly fall. It helped me. It was very formative for helping me properly fall in love with storytelling. I love books. Later in my adolescence, sort of when I was in sort of college age, I really got into A Song of Ice and Fire, and now it's one of my favorite stories of all time. I do rereads of it every few years. I've here and there, like in between, I've just read books independently, just one-off books, classics. Stuff like Jaws and Poseidon and I, Robot, stuff that's had movie adaptations that I've then gone back and read the books for them. I've read a lot. No, I've read a lot up to a certain point in my life, and I've really enjoyed it, but unfortunately we got to a point in my life where, outside of the odd book, maybe a couple a year, for reference, a couple a year, I'm not able to read, really. I'm really not able to read, and it's a time thing. We only have so many hours in the day, and I gotta prioritize several hours a day, most days, to working, to streaming. That's a chunk of the day, out of the day right there, to spending time with family and friends, of course, and loved ones, to working, to either streaming, which is a chunk of the day, like I said, these days, 4 times a week often, making YouTube videos, making these videos, doing boring admin, real-life adult stuff, then spending time with family and such, watching sports, which is a huge part of my life, although we're reaching a point in the year where it's at its quietest, so I'll have more time there at least. But then there's leisure. And the thing is, you want to spend leisure doing things there's only so much time for leisure, so I spend it with other mediums. Unfortunately, at this point in my life for the past few years, books have kind of fallen by the wayside. They've been kind of cut. And I wish that wasn't the case. I wish there was more time for me. And in the years to come, I definitely want to shift that and give books more of a priority, but as it stands, that's just been the case for the last few years. I love books, but at the moment they're roughly at the bottom, or maybe more or less tied with the next one I'm going to talk about. But in the future, I want to reread A Song of Ice and Fire again. I'm overdue. It's been 3 or 4 years since the last time I reread it, and I do think The Winds of Winter is coming out this year. Or not this year, sometime in my life. So I think it's a good time to reread it. And in the past year, I've read the book A Tale of Two Pasts, I believe. The Final Fantasy VII book about Aerith and Tifa. That was great. I read Can't Fear Your Own World, the novelization by Narita for Bleach. I've thoroughly enjoyed that. Whenever I read, I thoroughly enjoy it. It's just I can't read that often. However, I have plans for reading in the future. Like I said, I want to reread A Song of Ice and Fire. I would love to check out the Night of the Seven Kingdoms, the 3 short story novellas for that, because I love the show for it and I want to read it. So I bought that. I'm committed. It's in the other room. I want to check that out this year. I also checked out the Shogun live action series, and I really enjoyed it, but I also felt like something was maybe a bit missing. So I bought the book for that. It's a huge book. It's 2 books, and I want to read that too. So yeah, that is my goal, I guess, for sometime in the next couple of years. But also this year, I want to get more into reading books. But as it stands, one of my bottom 2 is books. Just a quick addendum here from future AJ, or current AJ, because this video was recorded about a month ago or a few weeks ago, and I'd just like to say that the things I'm saying about books here, thankfully, they don't apply anymore, because I've been spending the last couple of weeks reading A Night of the Seven Kingdoms. I've really, really enjoyed it a ton, and it's really gotten me back it's gotten me the reading bug. So I mentioned checking it out in this video. I have checked it out. It's been great, and I have started the beginning of the Star Wars prequels books. So everything I say is so far in this video about wanting to try out books but not really doing it lately, that is true, but now I can addendum that with I am getting back into reading, and I'm really enjoying it. So anything in this video that I say from this point on where I go, I want to get back into reading, I've already done it. Be proud of me. I'm proud of myself. It's been great. It's been fun. Number 6 would be visual novels. Now, there was a time where I was on a visual novel kick, and by that I mean I read like 4 visual novels or something within a couple years. But they were long, so they took a while. There was a time in my life where I read Fate Stay Night, though that was a few years prior. Fate Hollow Ataraxia, Umineko, The House in Fata Morgana, Subarashiki Hibi, and then I've played video games that people consider to be visual novel adjacent, like Ace Attorney, or 13 Sentinels, or Danganronpa, stuff like that. But I consider that to be a bit different. When I talk about visual novels, I'm talking about read and go through it. I know people have lots of thoughts about it, that's just how I categorize it. All the visual novels I've gone through, which, like I said, Fate Stay Night, Fate Hollow Ataraxia, House in Fata Morgana, Requiem for Innocence, Umineko, Subarashiki Hibi, a couple others maybe. I've thoroughly enjoyed almost all of them. I just listed 6. 5 of them I strongly love. Umineko is one of my favorite stories of all time. I adore Fata Morgana. I adore Fate Stay Night and Fate Hollow Ataraxia. I adore them so much. And there are some stories that will never leave me, and I actually plan to reread Fate Stay Night and Fate Hollow Ataraxia maybe this year if I can, if not next year. I'd love to get to it this year. With the remastered edition that came out in the past couple years. I have them loaded on my desktop. I'm looking at the icon right now. So I'd love to do that. Maybe when I have a bit of an opening in between video games or something. So yeah, I really do love visual novels, and I love when they use the medium well as well. I think the structure of Umineko's story is so dependent on visual novel. Same with Fate, visual novel medium. I think Fata Morgana does some incredible stuff with the use of the medium, specifically with the log. Great stuff. The different doors. And yeah, I have thoroughly enjoyed my time with visual novels, but for some reason, I hit a certain point where after finishing Fata Morgana, I was just done with them. I went to different things, and I found it hard to get back to it. There's a story called Dies Irae, a visual novel called Dies Irae, that I've wanted to get into for like 5 years now. But every time I started, my attention wavers. I can't really get into visual novels unless I already know I love them. It's weird. I'm going to try to change that. I'd love to try out Dies Irae, and there's another pretty heavily critically acclaimed visual novel that I forget what it's called. I forget what it's called, but maybe you know what I'm talking about. That I'd like to get into. I'd like to try out a couple more, but I don't know. Visual novels are probably last because, as opposed to books, I can open up a book and read it and be enthralled and engaged and immersed. It's just about having the time for it. Visual novels I find difficult to get into for some reason. I don't know why. To get into new ones. I don't know why. I couldn't explain it. I don't have anything against it. I really enjoy visual novels and the ones I played, and I have a lot of time for the way they can use the medium and their how important they are culturally. But yeah, again, this is something I'd like to change in the future and maybe try a couple other new ones. But it is what it is. Visual novels are probably 7, books are probably 6. Number 5 for me, and now we're getting into stuff that I do manage to find time for. Not as much as I'd like, but I still find a decent amount of time for. Number 5 would be films. I really love movies. I'm not a cinephile or a film guy as much as some of my friends are. I wish I could watch a bit more, Something comes out in the theater, and sometimes I just go and I watch it, and that's an afternoon or an evening, boom, in the theater, done. But sometimes it's harder to plan it in advance. Sometimes it's harder to find the time for it. Sometimes it's hard to arrange the schedule around it. Sometimes you want to get to something and you're like, well, I'm rewatching Sopranos. I kind of want to watch another episode of Sopranos instead of finally check out, I don't know, Schindler's List. I've been wanting to watch Schindler's List for forever, but it's 3 hours and I love Sopranos. It's just, I'm a bit unfair to films sometimes. I prioritize other things when I should just, when I really just go, you know what, I'm gonna do this and watch a film. I always have a great time in one way or another. What's really weird is around December, January, around the holiday season, every year, I watch a bunch of films. In theater, sometimes I rewatch stuff. Out of theater, I watch a lot of films, more than throughout the rest of the year, and then I just don't really do as much throughout the rest of the year. But this year I've been watching a decent amount. Yeah, I rewatched an old favorite in National Treasure, found it very silly and stupid, but fun. In the past year I've rewatched Star Wars films. I've checked out some series, some films that I have been wanting to check out for a while but haven't. Some really creative films. And there's some new ones, Project Hail Mary, Obsession, stuff that have come out recently that I'd love to check out. And I really like films, I really enjoy them. I find that it's sometimes harder for me. So for example, I scale films a little bit differently. For reference, there are lots of 9 out of 10 manga or anime or video games that I prefer over a 10 out of 10 film. I rewatched Parasite recently, and I love that film. It's so incredibly special. I digress. But yeah, for me, a 10 out of 10 movie, in my heart, I am not as connected to as a 9 out of 10 manga, for example, sometimes. I think a lot of that has to do with the characters. Obviously, this isn't always the case, and sometimes movies can establish a connection with the characters in such a short amount of time. But in 2 to 3 hours, it's hard for me to feel as connected with characters as I do for a 25-episode anime, or a 200-chapter manga, or even a 20-hour long video game to 40 to 60 to 80. I feel more connected with on average, this isn't always the case, I feel more connected with the world and the stories. I feel more intimately connected with that. And so movies tend to not have as much staying power in my heart. There are several that I adore. Shutter Island, Seven, Fight Club, The Departed, excuse me, Star Wars Revenge of the Sith, I love. The Pirates of the Caribbean films, Oppenheimer, masterpiece. The Dark Knight, Warrior, Harry Potter, The Prisoner of Azkaban, probably my favorite film. Lord of the Rings trilogy. I'm probably forgetting. Parasite, like I said. Unbelievable movies that I deeply, deeply love. The Wolf of Wall Street, One Battle After Another, Sinners, No Country for Old Men. That's what it was. There Will Be Blood. Amazing. I want to check out Dune. People have told me I'd love the Dune movies. I'd love to check them out down the line. I just need to sort of force myself, and I say force myself. I know I'm going to enjoy it. I always enjoy films. But tell yourself, watch the Dune movies instead of rewatching Sopranos just for this evening or something. Watch the Dune movies instead of playing that video game and playing KOTOR 2. It's just a matter of doing that. I gotta kind of amp myself up to do it. But I love films. I really do. I am more or less okay with how many films I watch, but I would like to do it a bit more. I would like to watch a bit more films. Bump that up by another 20 to 30%. So I could check stuff out. I do want to really check out Dune. I do want to check out some of the recent films that have come out. I do. I want to check out Schindler's List. So yeah, but I love films, and I watch a decent amount. I want to watch more, though. Number 4, and now we're getting into the mediums that I truly properly explore. And I don't really know if I can properly rank 4, 3, and 2. I'll just say right now, number 4, 3, and 2 are probably fluid, more or less fluid. But this is the order I'll do it. Number 4, anime. Anime is one of my favorite mediums. I watch it all the time. I watch tons of seasonals all the time. I rewatch favorites. I cry. I laugh. I feel thrilled and gripped. I don't think I have much to say about anime. I talk about it every stream. I talk about it in these videos all the time. I make videos about it. So many of my favorite stories are there primarily for anime, or because I was introduced to them through anime. Hunter x Hunter, Haikyuu, my number 1 and number 2 favorite stories of all time as of this year. I was introduced to through the anime, and adore the anime. Attack on Titan, right up there in my top 10 favorite top 5 actually, favorite things of all time, and I was introduced to it through the anime, and I adore the anime. There's Ava, one of my favorite stories ever. There's Monster. There's I mentioned Beastars before in my relationship with the anime with my video on Beastars. There's Ping Pong the Animation, Gurren Lagann. I love so many anime so much. Kyoso Giga, Monogatari, Dynazenon. I love the medium, Violet Evergarden. There are so many series. Let me look to my side. I have posters about the medium. I started with the manga, and primarily my experience with these stories is the manga, but One Piece, love episodes of the anime, Bleach, Naruto, Hoseki no Kuni. It's just unbelievable. So I adore anime, but what's really interesting is I think I actually love manga more, just the tiniest bit more than anime. I adore manga, which is crazy because I don't know if you guys remember the old AJ lore, the Alexander lore, but a while ago, I was never passionate about manga as a medium. I couldn't really immerse myself. There was something there was like a disconnect with me in the medium, and for years when I tried it, I couldn't really immerse myself. What I read manga for was to continue stories that I loved and know what happened. I could still love the characters, I could still be immersed in stories, but only if they were masterful. I could only do it for Berserk. I looked at Miura as an exception. I only love manga because it's Miura, or Togashi, or Furudate, or something. There were the stories I loved that were manga, I looked at as an exception because I would pick up the average manga and I'd have lots of trouble immersing myself. Something about panel flow, it didn't connect to my mind. It really didn't. The illustrations, the way that dialogue flowed, the way that you kind of dictate your own flow in a certain way, I used it as a necessity to know where some of my favorite stories were going, know what happened, but I didn't love manga. And I frequently told people that. But something changed around 5 years ago or so, where I reread Berserk. 5 or 6 years ago, I think it was because of Miura's passing. I reread Berserk, and suddenly it clicked for me. It really clicked. I got it. I was immersed in a way I never was before. I read Vagabond, I felt immersed. I read reread Haikyuu, and I saw it with a whole new, different perspective. And what really helped with this was streaming my read-through of One Piece, and then Naruto, and Bleach. It allowed me to really be able to properly immerse myself in the medium, and love the manga-specific things. Like the way that manga can at times use the medium, use black and white through the illustrations, use panel flow, negative space, the gutters, I think they're called, callbacks with certain chapters, the cover stories with One Piece, for example, the way that Kubo uses the medium and has stories who tell their own stories and supplant the medium. Ishida's currently doing some stuff like that with Tokyo Ghoul. I have such a love and a passion for manga that I'm so glad I have. And at this point, it's crazy, but I think I actually appreciate it a little bit more than anime. So that's the one caveat I'd say. Out of numbers 2 to 4 on my list, the only thing I don't really know the order, but I know that manga is very slightly ahead of anime. And then the other one I would say is TV shows, television shows. Just look at my favorites. It's filled with them. Well, there isn't like a huge amount, but there are lots of them in very high spots in my favorites. Breaking Bad, Better Call Saul, The Methverse. One of my favorite stories of all time is Mad Men. I adore Succession. I adore Black Sails, Andor, The Sopranos. Oh, like, I'm rewatching The Sopranos right now. I'm just about to finish season 2. It is an incredible show, better than I thought it was the first time I checked it out. I think I'm forgetting a couple. The Wire, oh my god. I adore television shows. Even the ones that, may not necessarily be a super strong favorite, like, in competition with stuff, with, like, my top 20, 30, 40 favorite fiction of all time, but that I still deeply enjoy. Severance, I've had a great time with. I'm currently watching something called Paradise, which I'm really loving. Maybe not loving, but really liking. I watch TV shows all the time. Sometimes they're really bad. The Boys. The final season of The Boys sucked ass. The final season of Euphoria, I think, sucked ass. But man, when it's good, television is so good. And I want to try more and more shows. I want to try The Leftovers properly. There are a couple of old classics. I think Twin Peaks I haven't tried out. So yeah, I love TV shows. I adore them. I really like The Bear. I really like The Pit. TV shows are amazing. Phenomenal. Love the medium. And it's more or less on par with anime and manga. And I'm glad that I spent enough time on them. Also, there's, along with this, it's not anime, but there's also Western TV shows that I grew up with, like, that are animated. Like SpongeBob. SpongeBob's one of my favorite. Like, SpongeBob is in my top 100 in a strong position every year. Because I have nostalgia for it, because I loved it as a kid, but because it ages incredibly well. It's clever as an adult. The first 3 seasons. That's all. And the movie. Supernatural I love. Not animation, but you know what I mean. Arcane. It's animation, but it's amazing. I don't hold Avatar in as high a regard as some who say it's like their favorite show do, but I think it's very good, and I really enjoyed it. So yeah, I love TV shows, but my favorite My favorite medium has been since I picked it up, continues to be to this day, will always be, I think, is, you guessed it, video games. The interactivity, the specific way of immersion, gameplay story integration, the way stories can be told through video games, building relationships, specific relationships with party members and characters that you really can only do in video games, the gameplay side of things, tactics and strategy, the variability from something like a Resident Evil to something like a Dragon Age to something like I want to check out Mass Effect. There's so many stories and beautiful gameplay experiences through video games that I just want to experience forever. That's why I'm always playing a game on stream, and I'm always playing at least one or two games off stream. I'm currently playing Resident Evil Biohazard, but I'm also playing KOTOR 2. I also just finished Soma in a couple days, because I love the medium. I love engrossing myself in it. There's so many video games that are coming out that I can't wait for. There's a Fire Emblem coming out. Cyberpunk Orion better be one of the best games of all time, because Cyberpunk 2077 is one of the best games of all time. Witcher 4, holy shit. Final Fantasy VII Re-Trilogy Part 3. We're a couple days out from Summer Games Fest, which I'm going to stream. And, Deltarune, I'm so filled with excitement for the medium, and I always am. And I hope that comes through in my content. I love video games so much. Yeah. The settings, the worlds, the music, the themes, the creative vision behind so many of my favorite games. Video games are art. Always have been. But yeah, those are 7 mediums I have interesting relationships with. Some in order that I kind of put it as visual novels and books, 2 of which I want to get into more specifically books in the future, but I also want to reread some visual novel stuff and check out some more visual novel stuff. Films, which is sort of in between. TV shows, anime, manga. Thoroughly engross myself in them all the time. Always talking about them, always loving them. And then, number 1, video games. Feel free to tell me your order of those 7, or if you want to include others. I've also seen theater, but not enough to really include it. Plays, I studied plays back when I was in school. But yeah, those are the 7 most pertaining to me, so feel free to order them and add others yourself. Feel free to discuss anything you'd like to that I talked about in this video. Well, yeah, thank you so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed this ramble, and I'll see you next time.